Hello there, this is Mikhail or Michael speaking. So, I will discuss the situation in and around Bakhmut and what have changed in the last 48 to 24 hours. We will start with the south and southeast and move our way to the north. Here we can see that Russians are attacking in these directions in attempt to first capture this school and the rest of this fitness center in the overall general direction of this street right here. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see that there is an entire sector of high-rise buildings that overlooks Russian positions, so Russians attacking towards this direction is problematic. But Russians are attacking and are now fighting in this school. Of course, let's not forget that Ukrainians had heavily reinforced this entire sector with their elite troops, so it is double the difficulty for the Russian troops here. Then we go closer to the center of Bakhmut, where Russians are fighting from Korsunskova Street and beyond it, and are attacking in general directions of this school right here in attempt to capture this sector here. Then we see the stadium of Avangard, for which there are heavy fighting reported. Russians are attacking along the Korsunskova Street and beyond it in these directions, as well as going around the stadium and the high-rise buildings that are located here. As you can see, there is a park here that is also very convenient for the Ukrainian troops. But overall fighting for this sector is ongoing as of right now, and it would seem that Russians will soon capture it. Ukrainians are now being attacked and fired upon from 3 directions. And if Russians were be able to successfully attack along the Kovalska Street, they might as well completely encircle this sector. Recently, Russians had captured this sector right here. It happened in the last 24 hours, and once again are attacking towards this park and the general area here. Then we go to the center, where Russians have recently captured the Hotel Atlantic and the surrounding buildings, and now attacking along the Svoboda Street in the direction of Verkhny Park or Upper Park. Now you can see that there are no high-rise buildings in the area, so Russians could achieve major success here, but I assume the fighting for the park itself will take some time. The Russians had captured the church that is located to the northeast to this park. They are also attacking along the Gorbatova Street here, and as you can see had captured one high-rise building on it and are advancing towards other high-rise buildings. But as you can see, there are a lot of those buildings on this street. As you can see, recently Russians completely captured the territory that surrounds Stadium Metallurg. That territory was captured by the Russians very recently, in the last 24 hours. The Russians had also captured this sector right here recently and are now attacking towards police station. We can see that the remaining forces that Ukrainians have here are defending the direct pathway towards the railroad station. Now we go to the situation at the north, where Russians are, as you can see, attacking along the railroad, but as you can see, advancements of Russian armies here is somewhat slowed. Then we go here, where we can see the Rose Alley and Youth Center. The Russians had made a major breakthrough along the water reservoir, captured 3 high-rise buildings, and now advancing in this forested area and are attacking in these directions. So we might expect Russians to attack here in order to fix their lines. We might also expect Russians to be capturing this sector. However, it may become problematic. As you can see, this sector right here is a residential area with no high-rise buildings. But if we go to this sector and zoom in, we can see that this whole part of the city is covered by the tall concrete buildings, basically classic Soviet-style boxes. So Russians might have trouble fighting in this sector. Now, about the breakthrough to the east of this reservoir, the Russians had punched pretty deeply, entered this forest, and they can attack in this forest by the cover of the trees, and with that they can launch their attacks anywhere, striking Ukrainians to their flanks and rear. They can also support Russian attacks that are happening towards Khramova here, and perhaps with joint efforts they might as well at least enter the village itself. And before we move on from Bakhmut, I just want to quickly show you a short video. This video is about the TOS-1A system unleashing hell on Ukrainian positions in Bakhmut. Once again, the video will be without an audio because it uses, well, copyrighted music. So as you can see, the bombardment of Ukrainian positions in Bakhmut city never stops. It keeps Ukrainian troops awake and tired. The unstopping bombardments are also disrupting their rotation system, which again forces soldiers who are tired, hungry, and stressed to stay in Bakhmut longer and fight Russians, especially in the night, now that it's proved that Wagners are attacking in the night more often. So it is safe to say that for Ukrainians, Bakhmut is a symbol of misery. Hey, if you liked my video so far, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. And because of those actions, this video will be promoted to more and more people. And also consider supporting me financially on Patreon. Just know that every dollar you will give to me would go to putting food on my table and paying for rent and bills. Thank you in advance, and let's continue on. The situation around Ivanivske is as follows. At daytime, Ukrainians counterattack Russians and push them slightly back, and at nighttime, Russian troops, or to be more precise, Wagner troops, are using their superiority in night vision, counterattacking and taking what they had lost throughout a day. So it is a lot of back and forth around Ivanivske, as well as around those hills and along this river here. Situation in Avdiivka is changing slightly. It is reported the Russians had entered this settlement and had started fighting for the first buildings. Now, to quote precisely, they had entered and heavily entrenched in the outskirts. It would seem that fighting towards Grigorivka had died down, as well as the fighting in Orikhovo-Vasiliivka, but overall the battle is continuing. Russians are also attacking along the E40 highway and expanding their zone of control around Zalishanske. Now, situation in Siversk remains the same. Russians had stopped attacking towards Fedorivka, Razdalivka, and Vesely, and are now attacking towards Verkhokamensky and are tangled in positional warfare in Bilogorivka. Same positional warfare style is happening in the Serebryansky forest around Dibrova and Zarichne. Russians are mostly stopped attacking along the entire front and are mostly shelling all those settlements in attempt to disrupt Ukrainian supply system and demoralize Ukrainian troops before they attack in their direction. From here we go all the way to the Avdiivka. Kamianka still stands, as well as Russians along this railroad. They had not retreated as of right now and are holding Ukrainian counteroffensives. Then Russians are attacking from Apitny towards Avdiivka and from Vadyany towards general direction of Severne and Tonenke. From Vadyany, Russians are continuously attacking towards Pervomaisky, as well as from Pesky towards the center of Pervomaisky along the E50 highway and other secondary roads. Same goes with Nevelske. Marinka situation stays the same. There is hard battles in its center and Russians are attempting to surround it from both sides. Village of Pobeda still stands. Then we have reports of the battles near and around Novomikhailivka. And at last we have Vugledar, where Russians are still battling out for the control of the Dacha area and getting closer and closer to the mines here. So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free.